There is a kind of attraction that has nothing to do with having the perfect face, the perfect body, expensive clothes, or walking into a room like you own the building. It is quieter than that. You can walk into a room wearing something very simple, say almost nothing, and somehow people notice you. Not because you are trying to be noticed. Actually, that is the strange part. You are not trying at all. Someone looks at you twice. Someone suddenly becomes more careful with their words around you. Someone who was talking loudly becomes quiet when you enter. And sometimes after only a 5-minute conversation, people start telling you things they normally keep to themselves. You might have experienced this and thought, why are people doing this? Well, today we're talking about 8 signs you may possess a rare kind of attraction most people never develop. And no, I'm not talking about beauty. I'm talking about the kind of presence people can feel. Carl Jung spent a lot of time exploring the hidden parts of human personality, the parts we don't show everybody. And one of the most interesting things about human nature is this. The more comfortable you become with who you really are, the less you need to prove who you are. That changes the way people experience you. So let's get into it. And while you're watching, don't just listen. Be honest with yourself. If one of these signs sounds exactly like you, tell me the number in the comments. Let's see which one catches the most people. 1. People notice you. Even when you're being quiet. This is one of the biggest signs. You don't have to be the loudest person in the room. You don't need to tell everybody your achievements. You don't need to walk around saying, "Look at me." Somehow, people still notice you. Maybe you're sitting quietly at a family gathering. Everyone is talking. You're just there, drinking your tea, looking around, minding your own business. Then someone says, "You've been very quiet today." And you're thinking, "Yes, that's because I have nothing to say." But somehow, your silence is getting more attention than someone else's 10-minute speech. That's rare. Because most people are used to noise. They understand loud. They understand people who constantly explain themselves. They understand people who need attention. But calmness, that can be powerful. Jung believed that a person becomes stronger when they stop living only according to the expectations of others. And you can feel that kind of person. They don't look like they're performing. They look comfortable being themselves. That's attractive, especially as you get older. After retirement, this becomes even more interesting. You no longer have to impress the boss. You don't have to dress for an office. You don't have to prove you're important because of your job title. You can simply exist. And strangely enough, that freedom can make you more attractive. People think confidence means talking more. Sometimes confidence is being completely comfortable when you have nothing to say. 2. People feel comfortable telling you personal things. Have you ever had someone you've barely known suddenly tell you their entire life story? You're sitting there thinking, "Excuse me, did I just become your therapist? You met this person 20 minutes ago, and somehow they are telling you about their marriage, their children, their regrets, their childhood, their problems, and that one decision they made in 1987 that they still think about every Tuesday. What happened? You didn't ask for all that. But people felt safe around you. This is a very rare form of attraction. Your presence tells people, you don't have to pretend here. And that's powerful. People are tired of being judged. They're tired of pretending everything is perfect. They're tired of conversations where everyone is waiting for their turn to speak. But when someone feels genuinely listened to, they remember you. You don't have to have the best advice. Sometimes people don't want advice. They just want somebody who can sit there and say, "I understand." That's it. And if people often open up to you without you forcing the conversation, there may be something special about your presence. You make people feel seen, and being seen is one of the deepest human needs. 3. You don't chase attention, but attention finds you. This one is funny, because the moment you stop chasing attention, people sometimes start giving it to you. Think about it. There is a big difference between someone who walks into a room thinking, everybody needs to notice me, and someone who walks into the same room thinking, I'm just happy to be here. The second person often becomes more interesting. Why? Because there is no pressure. They're not begging the room for approval. They don't need everybody to like them. And that creates mystery. You start wondering, what's going on in this person's mind? That's human nature. We become curious about what we can't easily read, and this is where Jung's idea of the persona becomes interesting. The persona is basically the social mask we wear, the professional version, the polite version, the I'm doing great version, the everything is fine version. But the more you become comfortable with yourself underneath that mask, the less you need to constantly maintain it. And people notice. They may not know exactly what they're noticing. They just know. There is something different about this person. That's rare attraction, not attention-seeking. Presence. 4. You can make people feel good without trying to impress them. This one has nothing to do with telling jokes every 5 seconds. It's much simpler. People feel better after talking to you. Maybe you remember their name. Maybe you actually listen. Maybe you don't interrupt. Maybe you smile when they talk. Maybe you ask a simple question that shows you were paying attention. These little things matter. Think about the last time somebody genuinely listened to you. You probably remember that person, not because they gave you some amazing speech, but because for a few minutes you felt important. That's powerful, and here's something interesting. As people get older, conversations can become very different. After retirement, some people suddenly realize that their job gave them a huge part of their social life. Then one day, no office, no co-workers, no morning meetings, no one asking, "Did you finish that report?" Suddenly the house is quiet, and that's when human connection becomes even more valuable. A person who can bring warmth into a conversation becomes memorable. You don't need to entertain everybody. You just need to make people feel like being around you is easy. That's attraction. 5. You are comfortable with your imperfections. This might be one of the strongest signs of all. You don't pretend you're perfect. You know your weaknesses. You know your mistakes. You know there are things about yourself you still don't understand, and you're okay with that. You can say, "I was wrong." You can say, "I don't know." You can laugh at yourself without destroying yourself. That's emotional strength, because insecure people spend a lot of energy protecting an image. They don't want anybody to see the cracks. But when you're comfortable with your imperfections, you don't have to keep acting, and people can relax around you. You become human, real. Think about it. Nobody wants to spend 3 hours with someone who behaves like they were personally designed by the universe. Give us a break. You burned the toast. It's okay. You forgot somebody's birthday. It happens. You don't know everything. Welcome to being human. And strangely enough, owning your imperfections can make you more attractive than pretending you have none. Jung's work often pointed toward becoming more whole, not pretending the darker or imperfect parts of ourselves don't exist, but becoming conscious of them. That's where real confidence begins. 6. People respect your boundaries. Now this one is huge. You know how to say no, not in a rude way, not with drama, just, "No, I can't do that." And then you continue with your day. You don't write a 5-page explanation. You don't send a voice note explaining your childhood. You simply say no. That's attractive. Because people can feel when someone respects themselves. And here's something that often happens after retirement. You finally have time, and suddenly everybody has a plan for your time. Can you help me with this? Can you come here? Can you do that? Since you're retired, you're free. free. My brother, retired does not mean unemployed from life. You still have your own plans, your own mornings, your own peace, your own hobbies, your own quiet coffee, your own life. And when you protect that without becoming cold, people respect you. You don't have to be available to everybody. You don't have to answer every phone call immediately. You don't have to attend every event. You don't have to explain every decision. Healthy boundaries tell people, I value myself, and people tend to respect someone who values themselves. 7. You have a calmness that people can't easily explain. This is the one people feel before they understand. You've probably met somebody who doesn't seem to be doing anything special. They're not dressed dramatically. They're not trying to sound intelligent. They're not talking loudly. But sitting next to them feels peaceful. You don't feel like you have to perform. You can breathe. That's rare. And the older you become, the more you may understand how valuable peace really is. When you're younger, you might chase excitement, new job, new relationship, new car, new house, new everything. But eventually, you start realizing something. Peace is expensive, and not everybody has it. A calm person can walk into chaos and not become chaos. That's powerful. They don't absorb every piece of gossip. They don't react to every little comment. They don't turn every disagreement into World War III. Someone says something annoying. They breathe. They continue eating. Life goes on. That kind of emotional control is deeply attractive, because people feel safe around it. 8. You don't need everyone to understand you. This may be the rarest sign. You have reached a point where you don't need to explain yourself to everybody. Some people will misunderstand you. Okay. Some people won't like you. Okay. Some people will talk about you. Okay. You can't control that. And the more you understand yourself, the less desperate you become for everybody else to understand you. That's freedom. Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Think about that. Not who your family wants you to be, not who society expects you to be, not who your old job required you to be, not who people on the internet tell you to be. Who you truly are. That's the journey. And maybe that's why some people become more attractive with age. Not because their face never changes. It does. Everybody changes. Hair changes, skin changes, bodies change. But something else can grow stronger. Character, wisdom, peace, self-respect. The ability to sit alone without feeling lonely. The ability to enjoy a simple morning. The ability to walk away from unnecessary drama. The ability to say, I don't need to prove anything anymore. And there is something beautiful about that, because real attraction isn't always about making people look at you. Sometimes it's about making people feel something when they're around you. They feel safe. They feel respected. They feel understood. They feel calm. They feel curious. They feel like they can be themselves. And that's much deeper than physical beauty. So let's go back through the 8 signs. Number 1. People notice you even when you're quiet. Number 2. People feel comfortable telling you personal things. Number 3. You don't chase attention, but attention finds you. Number 4. People feel good after spending time with you. Number 5. You're comfortable with your imperfections. Number 6. You have healthy boundaries and you're not afraid to say no. Number 7. You carry a calmness people can't easily explain. And number 8. You don't need everyone to understand or approve of you. Now here's the fun part. I want you to be honest. Which number sounded the most like you? Don't give me the answer you think sounds impressive. Give me the real one. Maybe you're number 6 because you finally learned how to say no. Maybe you're number 7 because these days peace matters more than drama. Maybe you're number 2 because somehow strangers keep telling you their whole life story. Or maybe you're number 8. You've reached that beautiful stage of life where you simply say, people can think whatever they want. I'm going to enjoy my coffee. And honestly, that's a pretty good place to be. Because the rarest kind of attraction isn't walking into a room and making everyone stare. It's walking into a room and making people feel better because you're there. You don't have to become louder. You don't have to become younger. You don't have to become somebody else. Sometimes the most attractive thing you can do is become more comfortable being exactly who you are. And if you're still watching this, you're part of the people I love having here. So tell me your number in the comments. And if this video made you think about yourself, your life, or someone you know, share it with them. And please subscribe to the channel. We're building this little community together. One conversation, one life lesson, and one honest moment at a time. Because getting older doesn't mean becoming less interesting. Sometimes it means finally becoming yourself.